Pro wrestling friends, family, and fans. Welcome to a brand new episode of the No Sale Roundtable. I am your host, Joe Monroe. And today, well, in case you didn't hear, you know what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the New World Order. But I'm not here alone. I got a full, dare I say, a stable tonight. First and foremost, I want to introduce the man who is president and founder of Mayhem Media. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back JD. JD, how you doing, brother?
It's good to be back, Joe. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. How's everything going over in Mayhem Media?
It's going fantastic.
I know you guys got the Into the Barricade coming back tomorrow night. You guys excited about that?
Yes, tomorrow night. Yes, it's very exciting. It'll be every other week, and we hope to be able to stick to that with this relaunch of it. So, yeah, it's just going to be Saul and a man that you're going to introduce a little bit later.
Actually, let's go ahead and introduce that crazy Brit right now. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've watched the show, you know who I'm talking about. The man from across the pond, none other than the one, the only, Connie Clarkson? Oh, no, Connor Clarkson.
Brilliant.
Hey, Connor, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, good, man. Good. Living the dream.
How's everything from across the pond? Everything going good?
Yeah, everything's going good. Can't complain. Weather's a bit touch and go, but it's Britain.
You can see we're sporting the black flag tonight, Joe. We're both sporting the black flag tonight.
Beautiful. Support it all you guys want to. You guys know I don't care for y'all wearing y'all's brand. Sorry, got a weird text message there.
You got your own shirt. I see you're not wearing it tonight, but you do have your own.
I do. I didn't think about wearing it. I figured I'd wear, my Hot Rod shirt. I couldn't find my nWo shirt.
That's all good.
All right. Well, speaking of someone who has their nWo gear on, representing Card Subject to Change, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the wizard, CZ. CZ, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, Joe? I'm doing great. I'm excited.
That's beautiful. But how's everything going on Card Subject to Change? Everything? What's the news?
Really good. We've had a handful of new guests come on. We've got a few more coming weeks. Really excited. Next Thursday, we have Jake Christ coming on. He's a former TNA X Division champion and former Pro Wrestling Revolver champion. That's the big news there. And we've got a local talent coming on our regular show on Sunday. So lots of good stuff happening over on the card.
Beautiful, beautiful.
CZ, good to see you.
Good to see you too, JD.
All right, now let's go ahead and introduce a man who is probably one of the smartest people that deals with professional wrestling knowledge, and you all know who I'm talking about, representing the Wrestling Society Network, Professor Bear. Professor, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm always great when I get to come on your show. You know it.
How's everything going at the Wrestling Society Network?
It's going great. Man, staying busy and one thing after another, but I couldn't have it any other way.
That's good.
Professor, I didn't know you were going to be on here too, Professor. That's awesome.
Oh, I pop up a little everywhere.
yeah, you're coming on Mayhem and next Thursday, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he is. Professor Bear, man, he's everywhere.
Oh yeah. The Wrestling Society Network is everywhere. What are y'all talking about?
Yeah, I mean that's one thing that I think Professor Bear and I have in common. You know, we create the illusion that we are everywhere all the time.
Exactly.
All right, gentlemen. Well, I got some good news today. I got some new blood with us tonight. He's a long personal friend of mine. He's just now literally started his own podcast for representing Till 5 Wrestling. Ladies, let me introduce to you my friend Aaron. Aaron, welcome, buddy.
Salutations. Aaron, Notorious ATB is what you'll find me on most social media. I hope that we have fun. I'm probably going to make somebody mad that's not Connor, because I feel like me and Connor are going to get along just fine.
Oh, good night, Irene. I already feel a partnership already happened. Okay, you know what? Before everybody sides with the Brit, let me go ahead and let's shout out some sponsors real quick. First and foremost, let me shout out none other than Phenomenal Finds ATL. If you're looking for anything retro, check out phenomenalfindsatl.com. They may have it. I mean, for crying out loud, they got everything. That's where I got all my stuff. And check out Charm's photos. Crystal, the lovely lady that you see on here sometimes, is the one that takes photos of pro wrestling action and our promo photos. I'm still surprised her camera has not broken for taking so many pictures of this ugly mug. So I may have to pay her for a new camera here pretty soon, as well as Les Murphy Painting. If you have any trouble with any painting needs, contact Les Murphy at 734-334-3702 and Triple Crown Wrestling and Ultimate Championship Wrestling, as they are bringing back the sport of professional wrestling as it should be. And a new thing we have here is Red Ape Graphics. Crander Q, the man that made all of our graphics, including the background that you see for the No Cell Roundtable,
Nice.
and the other overlays, not only for myself, but for Mayhem Media and other podcasts.
He
got
does.
work off.
He
So
does.
big shout out to Red Ape Graphics, ran by Crander Q. Yes, that is his real name. All right, gentlemen, let's get it started. First and foremost, who is the most underrated nWo member? JD, we'll start with you.
Scott Flash Norton.
Interesting. Why?
Because of the way everything he did in Japan. He was huge in Japan. I mean, he led the nWo Japan. He's at the time, he was one of the few Americans to ever hold the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. And I think he's probably the most underrated. We never got to see him shine in WCW. He was always lost in the pack. Japan is where he got to shine with his nWo formation. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the names of his fellow nWo members in Japan. Sorry. But yeah, I think it was him, because he deserved more than he got in WCW, certainly.
All right, Connor, who do you have?
Oh, you've actually called me by my real name and not Connie this time. How nice. But no, back on track. Yeah, fully agree with JD. Scott was probably one of the most underrated, purely for his work that he did in New Japan, as well as holding the IWGP title as well.
All right, beautiful. Aaron, who do you think is the most underrated?
I hate to make it unanimous, but I'm also going with Norton, man. Like, there is no debate. The man really deserved more than he got anywhere in the States.
No, okay, I agree with y'all. It looks like Rusty Roman's in. Hey, Rusty, how you doing, buddy? Looks like Dean Banks is here too. Sorry, Dean, how you doing? Professor, most underrated member of the nWo. Who do you got?
Oh wow! So I three names came to my mind. Really. I was gonna go with Conan, but his popularity carried him so much. But for his wrestling skills and for what he helped keep the nWo going, especially when they had the two split factions, Conan. But when I really think about it, it's one that a lot of people are going to look at me strange about. But I think it was Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray, he helped he was the last legitimate person on the B team of the nWo. His mic skills were great. His wrestling wasn't that stellar, but he could put on a good match. And everybody just looked at him as Booker T's brother. And he actually had a breakout where I saw him as could be a legitimate star. So I had to go with Stevie Ray.
All right, that's a
Bold
good
pick, Professor.
Yeah, that is a very bold pick. Wizard, who do you got, buddy?
So I love that everybody's talking about Scott Flash Norton, and I've got to give him his flowers. He's brilliant. But for me, it's got to be Buff Bagwell. I think he was very underrated. I think he could have done a lot more than what they gave him to do, whether it was in the nWo or out. I really think that he deserved more than what he got.
And again, I think the tag team with him and Scott Norton, Vicious and Delicious, I think that could have been something more if they had actually, put some effort into it.
Oh yeah, hands down. I gotta pick Norton, Scott Norton. So I agree with y'all. Steve Ray is a very, very close second. But but I gotta go. Let's see what the fans are saying here. It looks like Chris Blade. How you doing, Chris? Is saying Scott was the most underrated. Danielle is saying hi. Hello, Danielle. Looks like Odell Stevenson is tagging some people. Thank you, Odell, for doing that. Let's see. Rusty is saying it's hard to find an underrated nWo member due to many. He's going to go with Conan.
Conan's a good pick. I think he was essential though in the Wolf Pack. That's
Oh,
why that's why I don't think he was as underrated, because I think he while he may not have got a title run or maybe got as maybe high a place on the card as maybe he should have, I think he was essential to the Wolf Pack.
Are we going to discuss Kurt Hennig in this? Because I feel like he deserved a lot more than he got in WCW too.
He should. That's a different conversation.
whole.
He shouldn't even have been in the nWo. He should have.
Exactly.
He should have replaced Arn Anderson as the enforcer of the Horsemen, and they should have let the Four Horsemen have one glorious run with Ric Flair and Kurt Hennig leading the helm one last time before the Horsemen rode off into the sunset. That's a whole different episode, bro.
JD, I could not agree with you more.
I agree. Well, speaking of the Wolf Pack, who do you all prefer? Do you prefer the Wolf Pack or do you prefer nWo Hollywood? You know what? I'm going to throw another question in there. I know everybody voted earlier. What about nWo 2000? Or why not? Aaron mentioned it in the comments earlier. Why not the band in TNA? So which was the best rendition of the nWo? You know what, CZ? We'll start with you.
Well, I think it's kind of obvious. I got my red and black colors on. I love the Wolf Pack. I loved all the members in there. I thought it was really well put together. And I just had a lot of fun. Their entrance music, like you heard off the top of the show, is just gets you going and gets you pumped. And I really love everything about the Wolf Pack.
Beautiful. Professor.
Got to be the Wolf Pack. I mean, just for the sheer brilliance of Kevin Nash being able to break off and be able to get a crew that was, I would say, more legitimate than Hollywood. You had most of the guys were former world champions. Even if you don't count the Macho Man in that, I mean, everybody was just a killer. Could be killers, single wrestlers. Even again with Conan was super great. Outside, he was the top man in Mexico. So, yeah, it's very simple for me as Wolfpack.
All right, Aaron.
I don't disagree that the Wolfpack was better when they split, but I think that at the peak of nWo Hollywood, it was better. I will argue that Hogan, Hall, and Nash leading in nWo was better than the Wolfpack was.
Okay, I can see that. I can see that. Connor Clarkson.
See, here's one where it's based off just fan favorites. Like every fan's gonna have, whether it's Hollywood, the nWo, or whether it's just gonna be Wolfpack. But now, especially when it was Hogan, Hogan, Hall, and Nash leading it in. That's probably the best version we've had.
Okay, JD.
Yeah, I think everybody's points, they made very excellent points. I'm going to give an enhanced answer based on what I just heard from everybody. I'm going to say the original black and white run does have to be the best incarnation of it, only right up until the match with Sting at Starrcade 97. That run is probably the best of the nWo, the best you're going to see the nWo, the most influential you're going to see the nWo. The Wolfpack, though, did give them more life and bought them an extended time frame with the whole nWo run, though. I will say that the Wolfpack, but I would have also preferred to see the Wolfpack the way it was supposed to be. I would have preferred them not to get rid of Sean Waltman. I would have preferred it to be Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and X-Pac, or Six, if you want to call them that. And I even wouldn't have minded if they got Page in, and even Luger and Sting, like, and create the way the nWo probably should have been from the original. I think they could have gotten more out of it if they did the Wolfpack a little bit differently. So that's my only complaint. And Professor Bear, I do consider Macho Man part of the Wolfpack. He was part of the initial split. He was part of that initial run with him. And you're right. Even with Conan, as Professor Bear said too, Conan was a Mexican heavyweight champion either at the time or before that. So every single member of the Wolfpack was a former or current world heavyweight champion.
Okay.
Well, let's not forget that it was thanks to the Wolfpack that the NWO got Disco Inferno to be officially a member.
Look.
Had to bring that up, didn't you?
I get an argument and I get wanting to bring up bad things, but you didn't have to do that.
I'm sorry. I'm with Professor Bear. You didn't have to do that.
I was thinking of wrestlers who deserved better, and I couldn't help but start laughing to myself earlier about Disco, and I was like, I'm gonna have to throw Disco under the bus. So I had to look it up and make sure that he did actually join the group in '99. Unfortunately, so yeah, that's the Wolfpack's fault.
Yeah, I have to go with the original. I have to go with the original run at the NWO. That was the best. Low key, what I think would have worked if done right. Again, this is done right. I think NWO 2000 could have worked, but unfortunately, it didn't.
You notice how nobody picked any of the incarnations after the Wolfpack, though.
No.
Well, I mean, you can only try so many times to create magic, and it's rare to get it twice. After that, you got to hang it up.
Oh yeah.
NWO 2000 would have worked if we had just inserted in, like, instead of the Natural Born Thrillers, if you had put them with Nash as a new NWO, that would have worked. Instead, you put a bunch of established stars who were not really that healthy in it, and it just didn't work. I mean,
would you still include Jarrett?
That's why it was built. That's why NWO 2000 was built, to give Jarrett legitimacy as the champion. That's the only reason it was built.
You will never hear me speak a bad word about Jeff Jarrett.
Okay.
So,
I'm not talking bad about Jeff Jarrett. That's not Jeff Jarrett's decision. It's not Jeff Jarrett's decision. I'm saying Vince Russo, the jackass that he is, rebuilt it to try and give him more legitimacy, because I think at the time people did not buy Jeff Jarrett as the world champion with everything else that they had on the roster. And I think Vince Russo did it to try and present him with more legitimacy. When I think a run without the NWO 2000 as a world champion would have given him the legitimacy he needed.
I think that Russo had the right idea with poor execution, as Russo usually did.
You're comfortable with using the word usually?
Well, yeah, usually. Hey, look, I'm not a Russo hater either. Like, I'm
a Russo hater.
What Russo needed was someone to tell him, Russo, that's stupid, sit down.
Look, they would not hire Jim Cornette at the time.
What Russo needed was to purchase a circus and do that for a living.
Hey, if you look at majority of Russo's opinions, a belt is nothing but a prop.
Which is horseshit number one. Sorry, Joe.
No, I believe it 100%. What? It's not like you actually earn. Now, the main event is not.
The belt is not a prop. The belt is not a prop. I'm sorry, it's not. That's the way some people present it. That's not the way it's supposed to be in the wrestling world. It's not supposed to be a prop. I understand it's sports entertainment. The curtain's lifted. We get it. But the champion is the person who's supposed to be leading the company, the guy who's the top dog. Like, that is supposed to be something. It's not a prop. It's not a prop. It's a significant item that you carry, that you're given or awarded because of your hard work. I don't like the word prop. No, I disagree with the word prop.
You're taking prop as a negative stance. I don't see Triple H's sledgehammer is also a prop, but that doesn't make it works.
That's a prop.
And the title belt it's not like he actually went out there and beat up Andre the Giant to retain his belt. Hogan gave him the belt.
Well, can I say this? I I understand both of your arguments, but I will say this: if the title is a prop, then why do we have it? Because if you don't need a title to rein in who's the best, who's doing this, then you have no point of it. There's no point of championship. With this,
is supposed to get the fans to say, "Oh, well, this person matters."
right?
This
But
is important.
in the same token, with that being said, just like when they gave the title to the actor,
David
that
Arquette.
was a slap in
David
the
Arquette.
face. That was a slap in the face to the fans. That was a slap into the face to the wrestlers who do this and try to make
To the industry.
wrestling be entertaining and somewhat legitimized. And again, I'm not saying that you are not right in your opinion. This is just how I feel. And again, I watch wrestling for the storylines and the art. But if you're not having a top dog, because anybody can say they're the top dog. I can say I'm the top podcaster, but if I don't have something that legitimizes me, that I can bag up, then it's just words. Just like with companies that, and I'm gonna stop my side rant, but companies that say they have world champions irritate the crap out of me when you don't go after state. You're not a world champion. Stop using that term. Use the term where you're at. It's more legitimate to everybody in the business.
Well,
Man,
with that being
you sound like the people on the old Ring of Honor message board that would get mad when people would talk about world titles. Like, it's never defeated outside of the space.
all right, let's.
The difference is though is that you were using Triple H's sledgehammer as a comparison of as a prop. Triple H's sledgehammer is meaningless. It's only meaningful to Triple H because of the way he uses it, because of the way he presents it. The world belt
is the first thing that popped into my head. The King of the Ring championship, the King of the Ring crown. You're not really a king. It's just a prop.
Yeah, but see again, those things are meant to legitimize people. The sledgehammer isn't something that was handed around and you fight over the sledgehammer. That's what, and I'm only talking about the terminology. That's all I'm talking about. I completely understand what you're saying when you say it's a prop. You give it to the guy who's supposed to be the champ, who's supposed to carry the company, the guy who you want to be recognized as the top dog. But it's not just a prop. It has to be separate from that. The sledgehammer is a prop. The championship belt is a symbol of your company and of who you're putting in charge of that company on camera.
I look at it like the people that should be your figureheads, which is, I'm assuming that's what you mean by champion, the figurehead.
Yeah.
I think the figurehead should be the person that opens your show or closes it. And usually, that's the champion, but that's not always the case.
No, not always, but the king and the queen aren't always at every outing either. You know what I mean? Like, you don't always need the champion, but that's why I don't like the term prop when you talk about the championships, because they're symbols. They're not just props. They're supposed to be symbols.
Well, it is a symbol.
Like I said, I think we're discussing semantics. It's just that I didn't like the term prop. You know what I mean? That's just all I'm saying, is that you lumping it in with the other props that are used in wrestling, I think, is a disservice to what the championship belts are supposed to recognize.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, and I will agree that belts should be treated better than they are, but at this point, I feel like after passing them around 800,000 times.
Good point. You got a good point. You do got a good point there. They used. Never mind. We'll get on the championship discussion on a later episode.
The belt Joe has behind him is more valuable than the international title is in AEW right now.
Thank you.
Well,
so it looks like let's check the chat here. Tanner Egger says till 5 for life.
Tanner's going to be my co-host.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Tanner's the one I'm doing till 5 with.
Awesome. You should have invited him to come tonight, man. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean,
Invite him and send him the link. He's more than welcome to come back and jump on in here. Let's see. Rusty said, honestly, Red and Black was better in WCW. I might get hated, but NWO Black and White in WWE was better. Ooh. Well, okay.
That was botched from the beginning.
Let's see. Cameron stated, Tell 5 wrestling saved my life. With Aaron? Really? But you gotta love DX versus NWO at WrestleMania. Oh, good night, Irene.
That was about the only thing that was good about that.
Was
that
it?
match, but yeah.
Now, did you all see Who Killed WCW about Jarrett and Russo episode? Yes, we actually discussed that on the Who Killed WCW episode. Which, if you haven't checked that out, go check it out on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. The NWO poke of death was poke of doom. Yeah, good God Almighty, that was horrible. Let's see. Marcus Fine, what's up, everybody? Intermission at WCWO in Indianapolis. Marcus, how you doing, buddy? I need to get you on one of the no-sell roundtables one weekend. And let's see, Rusty, Jarrett, guitars, Sandman, Kendo, Triple H Hammer, all props. So there we go.
Yeah.
All right. So enough about the props. Let's move on to the next question. Next question is, oh wow, this is going to spark more debate here. Who shouldn't have been in the NWO?
Actually, this really shouldn't spark that much debate.
Okay, so hang on. Before we get started, Connor, I'll let you go first since you're being all quiet today.
One word. Hogan. 2 words.
Oh, yes.
Come on. Okay, never mind. We'll debate after everyone gives their opinion. All right, JD.
I'm changing my answer. I want Connor's. Hogan.
Oh, for crying out loud. All right, Wizard.
Come on, Wizard. Go Hogan with us.
No, I can't because he was pivotal.
Oh no.
I don't know. First name that comes to mind is Dusty Rhodes. I don't think he belonged in the NWO for his brief run there.
That's a good answer.
Okay. Professor?
Jesus. It's so many. But
Run down the list. I know that look. Run down the list.
Big Boss Man.
Big Boss Man, yeah.
Jesus. Clark. He was a member for a minute. Virgil. Man, it's just so many. But if we're going to talk big names, we're going to just, if I do big names, I think one that did a real kind of disservice, Scott Hall. And I know people are going to look at me crazy when I say that.
All right. Aaron.
I'm gonna look at you like you crazy because you said that. Bret Hart.
Yeah. Good pick.
Yeah.
Bret should have never been in the NWO. He didn't need it, and they didn't need him.
Yep, you got my pick, Aaron. It was Bret Hart. Bret Hart didn't need it, and he needed a solo run right from the get-go. He shouldn't have even went to WCW. That's just my opinion.
He didn't have anywhere else to go.
Well, true. Okay, all right. All right, debate time. All right, I know a lot of people, especially JD and Connor, said Hogan, and I seen Aaron roll his eyes. So, Aaron,
the NWO doesn't work without Hogan.
Sure, it does. You just need somebody else at the head.
But who would you put?
Sting.
I have to jump in.
The problem with the NWO, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Professor Bear. I never want to cut you off. I'm always willing to let you talk. But the problem that I have with the NWO and Hogan is that it didn't work because he always had to be the center of attention. You put any other big name guy where someone else can be the champion, and that NWO run lasts longer and is better. That's why I pick Hogan, because I think he is the ultimate demise of the NWO, not the success of it.
People know how much I despise Hogan, but and the original rumor was, well, a couple of rumors that they wanted Sting to do it. Sting didn't want to do it. Then they were going to settle on Luger to do it, but it would not have had the pop, the unbelievability and the shock factor if it was not Hogan. And the reason being, Hogan, everybody was tired of the red and yellow. They were tired of it. They were just burned out, and they wanted him to go away. They did not expect Hogan to have this type of range in his character. Basically, he got to be himself from behind the scenes. So, and again, I don't like Hogan, but I will acknowledge what he brought to the business and what he brought to the NWO. Anybody else would have not. You cannot convince me. Anybody else would have had that type of pop and lasting impression if it had been anyone but Hogan.
I have to say Sting. I think Sting's crow turn was a huge moment, and that just shows that a turn with Sting could have been just as huge as a turn from Hogan.
The only difference, though, with Sting was and the other key is they wouldn't have been able to do it's an invasion because Sting was WCW. So it would have took it in a different direction. Not
You're
saying
right.
It wouldn't work. Not saying it could have even been better. But for the lasting, we're 30 years gone, and everybody look at us wearing merch and throwing up the Too Sweet sign. We got other groups copying that same formula. It will have not worked. That's just like saying the Horsemen. Well, if somebody else besides Ric Flair would have been in it, it could have still worked. No, there's certain personalities and certain things that just have to match up. And again, I just want everybody to understand how much I dislike Hogan. But
Me too.
I give that you cannot say anything about Hogan without giving him the props, and wrestling wouldn't be where it is without his runs. So
I always love discussing wrestling with Professor Bear.
Oh yeah.
See, now here's an interesting one. Professor
Oh, the
Bear,
Brit speaks.
do you hate Hogan more than JD hates CM Punk?
ooh.
Aaron, calm down. Calm down. Calm down. This is
do we have
another
a pro-
debate for another day.
Do we have a pro
Hunter,
CM
shut
Punker in the room?
Woo. I put it like
you
this.
got him started.
I put it like this. I appreciate a lot of things a lot of wrestlers do, but when you get to the point that you think you're bigger than the business, you rub me the wrong way. Hogan, Punk, they're all in the same category to me. Only reason why I will not say I dislike Punk more than Hogan, because at least Punk would tell you I'm a prick.
That's true.
and you got either you love it or respect it.
That's true.
I respect him for that.
Okay,
true.
so here's the thing. Hogan and Punk, it is business. It is business. And I get that completely. I think that Hulk Hogan, I never liked the Hulk Hogan character. I was a fan of the Hollywood Hogan character. I feel like Terry Boella, by whatever name he wants to use, is a garbage human being. Absolutely. And don't ever think that you're actually going to bother me, because I'm not the kind of person that gets offended. Y'all can crap on any wrestler. It doesn't happen. I will say, while we were discussing this, I did think of one person that it might have worked other than Hogan. Would have been Savage. Because if you had Savage do the turn at Bash at the Beach, and it be his jealousy of Hogan getting the spotlight there too, it might have worked.
And you also, and I would just like to point out that I think you have Savage in that role, and I think you lose the ego issue with Hogan, and then I think you could accomplish the same thing that I was trying to say about the issues with Hogan, that he always had to be the center, always had to be the world champion. The NWO could have evolved and let other people be on top of the mountain and stayed a faction. They could have had a longer life, I think.
The other thing with Hogan is there's a lot more eyes on it because he was attached. So even if you did it with Savage, you would have had to have had Hogan be the good guy.
Yeah, I know, and I would not have wanted to see that any more than I wanted to see him as the bad guy. Actually, I preferred him as the bad guy. I wanted to boo Hogan for years.
Well, and that's why it worked so well. If you wanted to boo him, great. If you've never liked him, then you might enjoy him spray paint people. I know that's what got me to start watching. The night that I tuned in and saw him spray painting Ric Flair in the middle of the ring, I was hooked.
I actually started watching a little bit before that.
The moment that hooked me was I screamed out, "Finally, I've been rocking with you, Bobby, for years and years. Hogan was a dirty bastard." And that just helped me carry on to watch and see him get his comeuppance. He didn't happen a lot, but he did. And like you said, it was the business. So I was okay with that.
At that point, I was watching VHS tapes from the movie rental store of the older shows instead of watching it on TV. That was seeing the NWO is what got me to watch it on TV every week.
Scott Hall appeared.
See, I didn't even know. I didn't know that happened. I didn't even know that there was live wrestling on TV at that time. I was 9. I was a little too young to have control of the remote. Dad did. So Dad was the one flipping through and hollered and told me about it. And yeah.
It was my mom. I wasn't watching wrestling either. It was my mom told me about it.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
CZ, do you have anything to add before we move on to the comments?
I just I want to ask you guys something. Professor, you brought up a good point about Bobby Heenan and always thinking that Hogan is a shady character. Watching Bash at the Beach, Heenan said when Hogan comes out, "But is he the third man?"
Yeah.
I want to know your opinion if that took away from the reveal.
No,
being the third
for
man.
me, it didn't take it away because, see, who believed Bobby?
Yeah, whoever believed Bobby, yeah.
Bobby always hated Hogan from the AWA to the WWF to WCW. So I've heard a lot of people, well, Bobby spoiled it. Bobby didn't spoil it because y'all didn't believe Bobby. That actually enhanced it for me because it's like, Bobby just talking outside his neck. I'm with you, Bobby, but we're proud members of Hate Hogan Club. And then it happens like, yes, we were right all these years.
That's a good point to bring up, though, CZ. Very good point.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what the fans are saying. They are saying, Rusty is saying Giant, $1 Million Man, Virgil, Macho Man, Rodman, and Dusty. Rodman. Oh, God. Hang on, let's see. If it stayed Hogan, Hall, and Nash and Bischoff, it would have been great. Should have been exclusive.
I like that. Yeah, that's a really good comment.
That's very good.
Exclusivity would have been good.
Let's see. Joe Hamlin says, "Good evening, everyone. Hello, Joe Gold or Fool's Gold, whatever you want to call yourself these days." And looks like Travis Crawford's on here. Hey, Travis, how you doing? All right. So, fellas, let's move on to the next question, which kind of segues into that. Who would you have put in the NWO? Would you have put just kept it Hogan, Hall, Nash, and Bischoff? Or would you stop it at 6? Or what would you have done? Aaron, we'll start with you.
Calling on me first. I don't know. Come back to me.
Come back to you? Okay. Who wants to go? You know what? Volunteers. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, JD, go ahead.
I think as soon as you add 6, the last member that was supposed to be from the WWE, that's probably where you should have capped it right there. You had 5 wrestlers, and then DiBiase and Virgil. I guess you could count those 2 as one person to make 6 guys. But so yeah, I think you stop with those 6 guys. I think it should have been more exclusive. Maybe at some point in time down the line, maybe you add a 7th or an 8th, maybe just to demonstrate its exclusivity that you have to do this, this, and this in order to get in. But yeah, I think right around 6 is where I would have stopped.
Okay. Connor?
JD, you stole my answer. Literally.
That's why we're wearing the same. That's why we're matching today, Connor. We're on the same wavelength, buddy.
No, it was me that told you to wear your mayhem stuff because I was wearing mine. I was
See,
like,
the
look,
point of
if I'm going to break the habit of not wearing a suit, at least I need to get the boss involved on this.
All right. Professor.
I hate to be that guy, but I'm have to. They called it. It's right. It just makes sense for just that group. And again, even though they had to admit it wasn't WWF, the mind as us fans, we have been like, Vince got something to do with this. It would have made it. It made it so, like you said, exclusive, and you just didn't want anybody because after that point, it's just like anybody. Like when they didn't even take the Nasty Boys, they wanted to get in. It's like, man, come on. Then you're gonna get Buff. I mean, Marcus Bagwell's like, man, nobody cares about the American males.
oh man, it's true. It's sad and funny because it's true.
Now, Buff became better and more credible than I ever would imagine. But at the time, you all know, everybody was like, Marcus.
See, go ahead. If somebody else is.
No, go ahead, Aaron.
So I get what everybody's saying, but here's my thing. I look at it two ways. Are we saying what would we have loved for an NWO, or are we saying like what was the goal? Because to me, I say throw more members in it if the goal is to split the company and they have Thursdays.
Well, that was initially the goal when they put the NWO in there. Yeah, it was going to be a brand split. So
we should have put a lot more in. Throw some jobbers in the group too, so you legitimately have like an NWO match on Nitro and see what it does ratings wise.
Do you guys know what it was that caused them not to actually end up splitting the brand?
The horrible NWO Nitro?
Yeah, when they took 40 minutes of airtime to rebuild the set. Like, who wants to sit and watch them rebuild a set? The fact that that's what they based it on. They say, oh, well, people turned it off when we tore down the WCW set. Yeah, because people don't want to see you tear it down and set up a new set. You should have had it. You should have had them take it over before the show and then open the show with them being in charge. That would have given you a good readout on whether or not people were interested in it.
You end the show with Hogan and them ripping up the WCW set, and then the next week you have the NWO set, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
Instead, you parade them out there and then take it over
for 20 minutes of airtime.
Yeah.
The only thing, and I agree with that. The only thing is, if they would have did the split, it would have been hard because, okay, you got everybody in the NWO and they're getting their own show. Now you got to go back into the NWO and start splitting them again to heels and face. And I think that would have been crappy because it would have lost some of that magic.
Not necessarily. You could have had a couple of the WCW guys get recruited or get bought out or something like that by the NWO guys, and then they would have had the band together.
They had Bischoff. Bischoff could have just said, "Oh no, you're on NWO Thunder now. Thanks.
Yeah,
I'm the president. That's how this works."
Yeah, it would have added some more dynamic with that because then you have a small group of WCW guys trying to survive literally in the NWO world.
Or you've got WCW guys saying, like, please just let me join the group so I don't keep getting beat up.
Yeah.
Like Disco and
Fun. So I think the group should have ended with 6, with Sean Waltman. Here is my biggest problem with the NWO. It's not just the oversaturation, but you look at groups throughout wrestling history, like, let's say, Evolution, Randy Orton and Legacy. Factions should be designed to elevate your top star or promote your top star, but elevate those below. And the NWO did not do that. They should have had so many talent come out of that faction looking better than they were, and it they were held down because of the oversaturation and because the top talent had creative control and wanted to be the top talent. They weren't willing to give up the reins.
Right. They didn't want to be like the Terry Funk and be like, well, let me do something with this person. Let me do something with that person. They rather just kind of keep their spot. I understand what you're saying. I would say probably keep it with 6 and maybe instead of probably, when did the Giant get in? Get
He
in?
was 4.
He was 4. Yeah.
No, he was 5.
He was 5.
Yeah,
Um,
DiBiase.
Oh, DiBiase. Oh, you're right. DiBiase came first. Yeah.
So here's what I would say: replace the Giant with Randy Savage. There you go. That should have been the NWO, because then you would
I
have
don't think there was
gotten the feel of the takeover, what they were going for at the time. What I think would have been good. Luger would have kind of worked too, since not really, because Luger was previously in WCW before going into the narcissist gimmick in WWF. But I can still kind of see him doing that. But I would rather much had Savage be there than Luger.
Well, with Luger too, you could have got away with it because nobody trusted Luger. Only Sting
That is
did.
true. That is true.
It would have made the whole Sting and Fall Brawl incident a lot cooler.
Yeah, it would have.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at the comments here real quick. Looks like Rusty Jameson said okay, 6 is okay, LOL. Let's see. Fake Sting was a jobber. Oh God,
That's true. They did have fake Sting. He was absolutely a jobber.
Let's see. Even though he was big in Japan for some reason. Let's see. NWO black and white heels, NWO red and black faces.
Yeah.
That's basically
That's pretty much how it ended up.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's see. Next question we have: who is the most overrated NWO?
There's definitely not going to be a debate about this one.
I think Crander Q put the answer on the board already. All right. Let's start with you.
Connor wants you to call on him.
Yes. He got to get it out when he's ready.
Oh, you go last. CZ, what's your answer?
That's not going to work for me, brother. It's got to be Hogan.
Professor?
Well, you know, brother, you bring up the NWO and the most overrated. It's hard to, your brother. I'm just gonna say it.
Okay. Aaron?
Oh, did I say Hogan?
No, you just say a different name. I feel like we're all going to beat this Hogan dead horse because we all know he's an awful person. But I do want to comment on everybody's like Hogan wouldn't put over people. This is the same man who jobbed to Billy Kidman. Okay.
Oh my goodness! In 1998 or 99?
But he wanted his win back. He wanted that win back.
I love that. Oh, he jobbed to Kidman. Yeah, you're right. He jobbed to the worst cruiserweight on the WCW roster of all time.
I wouldn't say the worst.
I wouldn't know.
No. Kidman wasn't the worst.
I don't know about that.
Well, Hogan was.
I don't know. I'm not a Kidman fan either.
Dandy, okay.
What?
We had El Dandy.
All right. I concede El Dandy.
Okay, Rusty, we'll get with your question before we get off. Okay, Connor, you can go now.
Now, I don't know whether anyone said his name, but Hulk Hogan.
He hasn't been mentioned yet.
Okay, JD, go ahead and say it.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. That when you're talking about the most overrated wrestler in the NWO, there's only one name that's on people's minds, and that's Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Well, you guys know my answer.
Biggest icon in wrestling.
I think this will be the only time we all agree.
Motion is set. We agree Hogan is the most overrated. Okay.
What if we can carry that motion? Can we just carry that to all time? Can we carry the motion?
You know what? I know we crap on Hogan. Hang on now. I know we were crapping on Hogan, but he did do a lot for the business. The character, yes, the person can. Well, I'm not really going to say because there's children that watch this show.
He did a lot
But-
for wrestling, and he did a lot against the wrestlers. You're right, Joe. You're
Well-
absolutely right.
Well, talk about making impact. How big of an impact did the NWO have, not just on the wrestling world, but just in pop culture itself? I mean, for crying out loud, in the '90s, going into 2000. I mean, heck, even now, people has NWO gear. I mean, Exhibit A and B right here. To me, they had a probably as big as the Beatles. Connor, what do you think?
You've only chosen me first because you brought up the Beatles.
No, that's not related.
You've only chosen me first because you brought up the Beatles.
Non-related, but go ahead.
I mean, here's the thing. They did what they did. They sold tickets. We all know they sold merch. Exhibit A, Exhibit B. And they did the storyline. They could have done a hell of a lot better with certain aspects, but at the end of the day, they made what they made.
Okay, JD.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about them almost 30 years later. That's how influential they are.
Aaron.
We wouldn't have had the professional wrestling that we do now without the NWO. And you missed a great opportunity. Yeah, you went with the Beatles, but today is the anniversary of the Stones' first ever live concert. So
Oh my God, that is right.
You just have that piece of knowledge at hand.
I leave the team chat every morning, so I have to look up odd facts and stuff to try and get people to talk.
Okay.
So
Just I'm like, man, there's no way he just had that offhand. That was something.
I'm much more of a fan of the Who than I am the Beatles or the Stones. So
Okay. The Who?
Yeah, that's what he said. We're not starting the Abbott and Costello routine here, Joe. You gotta-
what?
All right, Professor.
It's easy to say that wrestling would be different if it wasn't for them, not just for the culture, we hadn't even talked about this, the money aspect, the pay for wrestling, guaranteed pay. Look, there will be no Bullet Club. Look how much the Bullet Club has taken from the NWO, and they have chapters in damn near every wrestling promotion in the world. Whether you liked them or you didn't like them or whatever, everybody knows if you walk anywhere in the world, you do this, everybody knows what it means and who it related to. So,
All right, CZ.
Very much changed the business. It forced the business to evolve at a time when it needed to evolve the most, and brought about competition from both sides of the fence, so that it just elevated everybody in the business.
Big pop for the NWO before the 50 members joined. Okay, that's a great comment right there. That's the star comment of the night right there. I love that. But yes,
So-
all in agreement. Yeah, they definitely had a lot of impact.
I will say this about the NWO. Back to kind of loop back around to earlier. I feel like the NWO is what made the world title into a prop.
I will have to agree with you there.
You mean Hogan?
Spray paint. Yeah. I mean,
The spray paint, I think the spray paint was a cool story element. Disrespecting and claiming the title as their own, but I think keeping it on Hogan. I think if the NWO evolved and could have rotated champions, it would have been a little better.
nWo.
Yeah.
For life.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Last question we have of the night. When would you have ended the New World Order? When would you have stopped it? Because we can all agree it went on for way too freaking long. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that the WWE doesn't try to revamp a new version of the NWO. Well, I guess we kind of did with the Firefly Funhouse with it. No, that was just a brief moment in Bray's head. But when would you have ended the NWO? Let's see, who wants to go first? Professor, would you like to go first, sir?
Yes, I would. To me, the best time they should have ended it was the finger poke of doom. They should have not did that. They should have not grouped them back together. They should have went on their own merry way and created good storyline buzz. They had a chance to get back in the ratings war very easily. But that one move where everybody was already kind of burned out on it, that changed people's perspective big time on that group.
All right. CZ?
Yeah, I have to agree. Finger poke of doom is the pivotal moment that, in my opinion, started the downfall of WCW as a whole, and just was completely unnecessary. If I'm remembering my history correctly, that was also the night that Tony Schiavone spoiled the Raw main event and got people to click over. So
that was Bischoff, not Schiavone. Bischoff used to give away the Raw results.
No, it was actually Schiavone.
It was Schiavone on that episode.
It was actually Schiavone, and it was a few weeks after that.
Wow.
Okay.
How did I miss that? All right. You know, he didn't want to do that.
No. Famous line, that's going to put some butts in the seats.
Exactly.
Yep.
And it did.
All right, Aaron.
Imagine, if you will, at Starrcade, Goldberg actually defeats Kevin Nash, and then Bam Bam attacks him. So we go into that, and Goldberg has managed to defeat Hogan and Nash of the NWO. That could have been the end of the NWO right there. Goldberg's the great savior of WCW. But instead, we took a taser and had 800 run-ins, and then a finger poke of doom came the next night.
Fair. All right, Connor.
Yeah, literally. Should have ended right at the finger poke of doom, because from there it was like you are now downfall of not just the NWO as the downfall, but the downfall of WCW as a company.
Okay. Best for last, JD.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the finger poke of doom certainly is what sealed it. That's where it should have ended. But I'm going to say go back to Starrcade 97 and you have Sting defeat Hogan. He wins the belt cleanly. You take Hogan off of TV for 6 months or so. You have the NWO evolve without Hogan, to see if it can survive without Hogan. And that's where I think it should have went. I don't think the finger poke of doom should have ever even been on the table, or should have ever even been available in the cards to begin with. So I would go back to Starrcade 97 and have Sting finish off the Hogan era of the NWO, and then see what they can do without it. Just that they did the same thing in WWE. When Shawn left, Vince said to Triple H, DX is yours. What are you going to do with it? And I think the same thing, you could have did the same thing with the NWO. Hogan's gone. You say to Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, Hogan's gone. What are you going to do with it? And that's where you take it from there.
I can see that. That would have been good. Because the whole Hollywood Hogan thing was it was getting over with the fans more instead of Hulk Hogan. And that would have been neat because face Hollywood will come at a bad time in WCW. But let's see here. The fans are saying, stop it when they started fighting amongst each other and trying to split to the red and black. That could have been a good one. Finger poke of doom was done. Yes, Billy, we all agree with that. Let's see. That was the same night. They thought Nash versus Hogan would have been a great match. And it could have been. It could have been a great match.
NWO, yeah.
But we got what we got.
Well, and not to be argumentative, but I know it was not that night, because Mick won in January. The finger poke of doom was in December.
Oh yeah.
The Bigger Poke of Doom was actually in January. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off there, Professor, but yeah, it was the third Nitro in January.
All right, Professor can learn too.
I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. I can watch because I can watch right up until that. I get 3 episodes in January and I have to turn it off.
Let's see.
It was January 4th.
Oh, January
January
4th. Oh, so it wasn't the 3rd episode, but it was in January. My apologies. Thank you.
It was the same night of the Shivani incident.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, so it was the same night. Okay. Point to the wizard.
What?
All right.
So
Quick, can I give y'all a fun NWO fact that people know but don't recognize?
Go ahead, Professor.
The Giant was kicked out the group 2 times, correct?
Yeah.
Did y'all recognize that he got kicked out both times in Knoxville, Tennessee?
Oh wow.
Oh,
I was there for the second one.
I was there for both of them.
nice.
Because I bought the Hollywood Rules shirt.
It's a nice little fact there.
I took my nephews, they came up from Atlanta, and we went to the second show, and Big Show got blasted. And I kept telling them beforehand, I'm like, yeah, they about to kick the Big Show out.
Let's see. Okay, so how many people, except for Connor, because well, Connor wasn't even drinking double milks at this time. How many people actually went to a
How
Nitro
do you
show?
know?
Because
I
you
only
wasn't
went-
around when WCW wasn't around. Shut up, Connor.
I only ever
Wait,
went to a
second.
WCW house show.
You
I
only
was
went
only able to ever attend a WCW house show.
to a house show.
I never went to a Nitro, but I was at the Great American Bash 1997.
Oh,
Is that was that DDP and Savage?
Yeah, street fight.
Yep.
I did get to see what was it? One of the WWE ones when Shane fell off the Titantron. I think that was the one. They were in Hershey. That's near where I live, so I got to see one of the WWE pay-per-views at one time.
Was that Test or the Big Show? Or Kane? Because he jumped off all three.
It's gotta be Kane.
I think it is Kane. I think it was Kane, actually. I'm thinking it was. I'm actually
Unforgiven, I think.
yeah, I think so.
See, WCW never came to Dallas that I can remember. Well, you know, speaking of Dallas, we may have to cover World Class Championship Wrestling soon here on the show. If not on the round table, the history of pro wrestling, which anybody's welcome as a guest on that as well. But gentlemen, did you all have a great time?
Oh,
Great
yeah.
discussion tonight.
Yes.
Great round
yeah.
table.
anytime I get a chance to talk WCW, NWA, that era, I love it.
Yeah, me too.
All right, Rusty, did you have a question for us, or does anybody that's watching live have a question for us before we start giving our sign-offs here? I know it's Friday, it's the weekend, we're all edging. Let's see.
I mean, technically for me, it's Saturday.
The question: Hush, Connor. Since Jacob Fatu is here and Solo killed Heyman, do you all think Armando Estrada will be the new wise man?
I don't get to watch much WWE these days.
I would say 50-50 on that. It would be, I can see it, but do they need it? I don't think so. I honestly don't think this version of the Bloodline needs a wise man. Does anybody want to comment?
I
I
think
I agree with
50-50 chance that Armando Estrada is going to show up in 2024 on WWE TV. No.
60-40?
There's like a 5% chance that Armando is going to show up.
I think trying to replace Heyman is an impossible task, so I don't think you should do it.
I don't
I
think
mean,
they
I
even
agree.
need a wise man.
But I have to agree with Rusty. The connection would be fabulous and unexpected. Because who, like you said, that who in the hell would expect Armando to show up on the WWE, and he has that connection with Umaga.
That is true.
That's actually one great idea, but a lot of people wouldn't get it, but they would explain it. But I think it will work fabulously.
I feel like that could work as a short-term thing for Jacob to have Armando try and be like, look, man, this isn't what Umaga would have wanted. But to have him be the wise man of the bloodline, Armando wasn't even the wise man of 2007.
Willis, you got anything to add to that, brother?
No, you guys hit the nail on the head, right?
All right. Well, oh man. Well, gentlemen, what do we got going on? JD, Connor, go ahead. What y'all got going on over in Mayhem?
We got one more episode going for Professor Bear, and then Mayhem Tainment's on vacation until the Olympics start. But we're not going to be without content because starting tomorrow night, the one and only Connor Clarkson will be with Saul Good, The Last Outlaw, and they'll be starting Into the Barricade, which will be a bi-weekly recap of all things. I think they're going to start with WWE for now, but they might add on some TNA and AEW at some point as well.
Okay. Connor, are you excited for that, buddy?
Even though I've got to go live at 2 a.m., it's going to be a push. It's going to work.
Connor, do you need a double milk in bed right now, my friend?
Yeah, he does.
Joe, I need about 20 double milks.
Why don't you here to try and segue into what culture, guys? Let's just be honest. He's going to change his name to Andy so they hire him.
Look, I have to say this. I've had the privilege of being on a podcast. Doing this with Connor a few different times. I love him. I have never seen him so damn speechless and cracking up in my life.
He's tired. That's what happens when Connor gets tired.
Bear, Rusty is saying happy late birthday to you, sir.
Man, I appreciate that, Russ.
Connor's tired.
That's where I'm going in about 2 minutes. So
That's exactly what I'm doing when I get off the air.
yeah, Joe's got 2 minutes to end Mayhem Tainment. It's 4:20. It says so on me and Connor's wristwatch right here. It says so.
Oh yes,
Professor-
it does. Look at that.
All right.
In an RVD.
Oh, good night, Irene. Professor, what do you got going on?
Man, if y'all hadn't heard, we have got a website up and running, the wrestlingsociety.com. We have a lot of stuff on there that I believe you would enjoy. We got new things coming on there. Plus, one of my favorite things on the website is called the Podcast Corner. And this is where we have put different podcasts that we enjoy, people that rock with us, that do different things that are on there. And the best thing about it, once you click that, it takes you straight to their content. So you can learn from them. You can backtrack to hear some of their great audio and videos. So please, please, please check it out. And also, we have a link in there to our wrestling app so you can see different content to different things. We are doing a lot and we still got a lot to come. So as always, thank you for being a fan of wrestling, because without you, there are no us. So thank you.
Absolutely. Actually, here in just a second, folks, let me go ahead and drop that link right here, right now in the comment section. That way you all can go check that out. There we go. There's the link right there. All right, CZ, what do you guys got going on over at Card Subject to Change?
Well, big thing coming up. We've got Jake Christ coming on in just under a week. Nick and I have been doing this for almost 2 years. End of July will mark our 2-year anniversary, and We're not really doing anything big this year. We are going to do a SummerSlam. We are having a couple of other podcasters that we know that are from the Iowa area come on to do a panel show with us to preview SummerSlam. And I'm going to announce this here. On our Facebook page, we're going to be doing something to get some interaction going. We are doing the If Pro Wrestling Were the Olympics tournament. We have picked wrestlers from 36 different countries, or representing 36 different countries. We kind of fudged it a little bit because it's wrestling. But we'll be having the fans vote on who their favorites are to crown a card subject to change Olympic champion.
Nice.
Okay, that is
Who
awesome.
represents parts unknown?
Or Dudleyville.
We didn't get anyone from Parts Unknown, but we did include Killswitch or Luchasaurus from the Tar Pits.
Okay.
That fine guy representing Dudleyville.
Active. These are active wrestlers that we picked, so nobody.
Okay, so fuck it is.
Okay, fair.
Sign guy Dudley? Really, Aaron? Out of all the Dudleys?
No, Jimmy, I was bidding on a sign guy Dudley sign from ECW the other day with some people on Facebook. Not for me.
That would've been great.
It was for Tanner. Tanner is a huge ECW fan.
Oh, then
And-
what I have.
Like, I got him it was a original promotional release of the ECW Inner Sandman VHS, and it is signed by the Sandman.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he has got a really solid ECW collection. Now, me,
Okay.
I'm more than NWO, AEW, and CM Punk guy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You
me
know,
too. Man, I'm with Professor Bear.
Not Irene. Rusty says, don't forget to go to the Wrestling Society website and get your undefeated Rusty shirts.
Yes, they'll be coming in. We will start selling merch the day after Thanksgiving. So keep your eyes out for that.
I feel
All
like
right.
there needs to be a broken bottle of a tetanus injection on that shirt. Undefeated Rusty.
Jeez Louise, Aaron. Aaron, so when are we going to hear the first episode of the Till 5 Wrestling? I know you guys just got started.
We are hoping in August to have it fully going. We're going to do some dry runs and stuff like that. We get together at least once a month, usually 2 or 3 times a month for wrestling shows anyways.
Mhm.
And we sit there for 3 or 4 hours and do dick and fart jokes that are really great. So I'm thinking we might as well sit and talk about wrestling and let other people get entertained by us. I've really enjoyed this, and I got a feeling that most of you have too, though I think JD wanted to take a swing at me earlier because Tyler.
Absolutely not. I would never want to take a swing on anybody. You have to take the first swing.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have to say this right now. If I'm not on your show for me and you to debate NWO or something, I am going to be pissed.
You guys can find me on Facebook, Till 5 Wrestling, the Notorious ATB on Facebook, and I will make sure and find you all on Joe's Facebook account and send in requests.
Yeah, come to Mayhem or come follow Mayhem as well. We always love to network and collaborate with people, and do other shows or have you come on our shows or whatever. Even if you disagree with us, those are even better shows.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you all so much for coming on tonight. It's been a great episode. This is probably the longest episode of the No Cell Roundtable tonight. But until next time, folks, this is Joe Monroe. We will see you. When will I see you? Probably next Friday. We'll go over another episode of the history of pro wrestling. I think we're going to talk about the Nature Boy Ric Flair. I may have a guest for that one. Not sure yet. But until next time, folks, thank you all for your love and support. And always, always, always support the crazy sport of professional wrestling. Dave, go ahead and roll us out.
You've been